On the second day, we learned how to plan and execute exercises using foam noodles and flotation devices. We learned about essential movement skills and essential swimming skills. We touched on what is a teaching practice and a teaching point. We prepared a mock-up lesson plan for teaching participants of a varying ability level. We learned how to take a participant from a maximum support to minimum and then no support in the swimming pool. Anything from holding a wall using flotation aids to teacher support to independent swimming. We discussed techniques and strategies of managing behavior of children and introducing rules to the classes. We talked about grouping learners. This was the first time I learned about prone on the front or supine on the back position. And I heard of something called BLOPT, which is an acronym for the order you teach swimming, like body position, legs, arms, breathing, and timing. On day 2, I got to practice my first swimming class with an assistant beside me. My group consisted of 3 non-swimmers, and I had to teach them water confidence and front paddle. Throughout the course, you'll learn that the best approach to teaching is using the games-based approach, and the kids learn this way the fastest. So for the warm-up, I chose a game that is commonly known in the kids' world called red light, green light. And I gave each one of them a foam noodle and allowed them to explore a little bit of the swimming pool, floating a little bit in that manner. Every time I said green light, they would move, and every time I said red light, they would stop. That also gave me a way to judge their ability level, because of course I've never met these kids before and I had to figure out how confident in the water they actually are. For the main theme, I chose to practice a star float on the front and on the back. And I quickly realized that every kid may be at a different ability level within the swimming level, and I will have to be very flexible and think on my feet very quickly to adjust to the situation. One kid, for example, was extremely comfortable in practicing the star float, and he would pretty much fearlessly try anything. The second kid was much more fearful and probably practicing a star float without any additional support would be too much. The third kid, a little girl, flat out refused to work with me. I think she might have been scared of this bald guy showing up out of nowhere and becoming their swimming teacher for the day. Fortunately, my assistant was already familiar with this child, and she took her away for a few minutes so I could work on the lesson with the 2 other boys in the group. For the contrasting activity, I chose front paddle, where they had to try to move their arms and kick their legs for the first time with the foam noodles still under their bellies, so they have support and don't have to be overly stressed when getting outside their comfort zone. After we finished, we went back to the classroom to learn all about the swimming strokes. We spent the next few hours going through every single swimming stroke and analyzing its teaching practices and teaching points. We watched several videos illustrating a perfect swimming form and discussed best practices to achieve it. There was also a part of the session where we would all have to stand up and practice demonstrating each stroke on dry land to each other to show that it isn't as easy as you might think to convey all that information and technique to someone else. Once we knew how and what we'll be teaching, we were to prepare something called a scheme of work, which was basically a plan for 10 weeks of teaching, a broad idea of what each week of teaching would consist of. That had to be done for each swimming ability level, from non-swimmers, beginners to improvers and advanced. And probably my least favorite part of the course, and probably my job in the future. I absolutely despise filling paperwork and doing this kind of repetitive and boring tasks, but I guess it comes with the territory.